6:01 on Monday, January 27th, and I call this meeting of the Clear Creek Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present and that this meeting has been duly called, that its notice has been posted in accordance with Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Our first agenda item is to go into closed session. And the board will now move to closed session as authorized by the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Section 551, concerning purposes permitted by the Act, including 551.071, consultation with attorney, 551.072, deliberation regarding real property, 551.074, deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignments, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public employee, or to hear a complaint or charge against an employee. And we'll go into closed session at 6:02. session, and we will go to our next agenda item, which is our Pledge of Allegiance.
Right, I think I have some friends from Bayside Intermediate that are going to come up and help me say the pledges. Y'all come on up. Right back over there's our flag. Who'd like to start it? Great.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, one indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor our Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
And please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you, and you may be seated. All right, now this is our Bayside Intermediate. Are you in student council? Okay, that's what I thought. Well, what does student council do?
We help our school and we participate in school activities such as working with our veterans. We have a Veterans Day performance and we give food and we have like a little party for the veterans. We have our Bayside Bash, which is a celebration that we have the 5th and 6th graders and they celebrate and have fun with others. So it's really just helping the people at our school and our community around us.
That's excellent. Anybody want to add anything else? You did a great job of summarizing. That's excellent. I know. That's very good. So could you think of like one word that describes student council for you? Anybody? Just a word that describes student council?
Fellowship, just getting to connect with your fellow classmates and students at Bayside.
Great. So fellowship, really good. What else? Somebody else.
I think love, because we all share and we all care for each other as if a family.
Wonderful. Fellowship, love. Anything else? Family, I heard, right? Family. And you helped to create a family at Bayside. Thank y'all so much. I'm going to get you to help me read something. I think we're going to put up on the screen our mission. We're going to come over here. Let's see. We are going to read the vision together. Can y'all help me with that? This is the vision of Clear Creek ISD. All right, here we go. Ready? Vision. Empowering every student with a world-class education that ignites passions and fuels endeavors. Awesome. Thank y'all so much. And thank you for opening our meeting tonight. We really appreciate it. Thank you. We are going to celebrate Armand Bayou Elementary School. They have successfully been recertified as a Leader in Me Lighthouse School. This announcement follows the Lighthouse certification we celebrated last month for Space Center Intermediate. This prestigious recertification reflects the school's commitment to sustainable growth and continuous innovation within the Leader in Me framework. The staff and community at Armand Bayou consistently demonstrate exemplary progress and serve as a national model to follow for all Lighthouse Leader in Me schools. So join me in congratulating Ms. Pulowski and our Armand Bayou team. Y'all please come on up, team. All right, we're going to get a picture together, okay? Okay, well, and since y'all are, and what grade? Fifth. Okay, so we have the fifth grade team. I get that. Well, thinking about Leader in Me, what impact, and think about that, what impact does Leader in Me have at Armand Bayou Elementary? Can you think of an impact that, oh, you can. Can you share that?
Well, we have the morning announcements every single day, and what we basically do, have the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we explain the agenda for what today is.
Great. Okay, so you get everybody started on their day right, don't you? That's excellent. What other impact? Do you have something? An impact of Leader in Me at Armand Bayou. We'll see if anybody else has an impact, and then we'll come back to
The teachers just are all very nice, and they have a wonderful impact on the students.
So really Leader in Me helps, really kind of guides the teachers in having a wonderful impact on students. And the teachers are wonderful. I know, they are. They're wonderful. Do you have an impact? Can you think of anything? Okay. No, your friend does. So we're gonna go back.
We also have after school jobs, which is basically from kinder through fifth. We have a yearbook club, a spirit squad, and what spirit squad does is it also MC and terrapin. A mascot. What they do is we have these huddles at the end of each 9 weeks, and a huddle is basically what we talk about with our goals. And then Terry the Terrapin comes out, and we have the spirit stick. So we have this huddle patrol that tallies up how much spirit each class has. So Terry the Terrapin takes the spirit stick, gives it to like pre-K and kindergartner terrapins, and takes it and gives it to the class.
Okay, so did fifth grade win? Is fifth grade getting the terrapin? One for each grade. Okay. Well, you know what? Leader in Me is all about being a leader, right? For yourself and for your school. We are so grateful that y'all are doing that. And thank you so much for leading the way across the state and the country in Leader in Me. We're so grateful. Thank y'all. Thank you. Oh, y'all get a medal for this. Oh my. Yes, yes, yes. This is amazing. Oh, yes. Yes.
I think.
That's good. All right, thank y'all. And now we're going to celebrate teachers. A national board certification, the number one indicator of a child's academic success is their teacher, which you already named. So we two totally agree. And as a district, we have embarked on an effort to deeply support teachers who want to become national board certified, which is the gold standard on teacher professional development across the country. Tonight, 4 teachers have just done that. Please join me in congratulating Nakia Washington, McWhorter Elementary. Please come on up. Mary Purvis, Weber Elementary. Lauren Jeffrey, Mossman Elementary. And Josemir Michele, and I'm not sure that she's here from Landell, but her principal is here. Come on up, Deb, come on up. Other principals, y'all come on up. Jenny, yeah. Let's have all the principals come up if you're here. That's great. So we are deeply proud, as they're coming out to share, that we have 77 teachers going through the program right now, which is under our new framework of support. And I would like to thank Dr. Moses, Dr. Branch, our CCISD mentors who are really supporting and really helping these CCISD teachers along the way and helping us retain the best teachers in the state and in the country. We are so grateful. So, and Dr. Moses, come on up for this picture. Yes, ma'am. Mentors? Yes, yes. Dr. Moses, someone else will take the picture. That's great. That is great. Dr. Branch, come on up. Yes, just yes. Just real quick before y'all go, these are National Board Certified Teachers. As far as the effort it took to get there, why would you recommend a teacher to start the program? Why would you recommend someone to go through this? Besides the money. We give you money for that. Right. I know. Is there another reason?
I was going to say, yes, the money, but also it does challenge you, and it really does help you grow a lot as a teacher, as a professional. It highlights areas that where you do well, but it helps you grow in areas that maybe you need growth in as well too. And it is a very thorough process to do that. But yeah, it's a super rewarding just to have that.
Thank y'all so much. Anything else?
I was just going to say, it completely changed my teaching path. When I started as a 5th grade general ed teacher, and I got my certification in students with exceptional needs, and now I'm teaching SPED. So whether I received national board or not, it put me on the correct trajectory after teaching.
That is wonderful. And Ms. Wood, did you want to add anything?
I think that it helped me to collaborate with my peers in order to create more individual, personalized plans for my students. It helped in that way, and I was able to help my students that way. That's great.
Thank y'all so much. There's no way. You are our best spokespeople for this, and we are so grateful. And you're helping the kids. It's all about our students. Thank you guys so much. We're so grateful. Take it, Mother. Okay, and now it's School Board Recognition Month celebration. Yeah, y'all come on down. I know. So January is School Board Recognition Month, and CCISD is celebrating its trustees for their dedication and commitment to the district and its students. With the theme Leadership for Tomorrow's Texas, CCISD celebrations will spotlight the essential role our school board members play in guiding the future of education. And now we have a wonderful token of appreciation for you. Each of you has received a framed copy with signature of the 2024 Grand Champion artwork that was created by our now graduated Eliza Hoffman from Clear Springs High School. I would like to thank Stephanie Albert and Greg Goodman in our Visual and Performing Arts Department for arranging this incredible and beautiful board recognition gift. Oh, this is for Mr. Nakai. Yes, we'll hold that. And we'd also like to thank our Bayside team, Student Council, for helping to bring those pictures in and to make this celebration complete. Thank you so much. Here, I'll take that one. Thank you. Okay, we're going to...
Everybody can kind of not tilt it a lot, but just tilt it forward a little so there's not as much. Yeah, that's good. Okay, and right here.
Before y'all sit down, we, the school board, would like for Kirk to come up. Mr. Swan is retiring. Yes, and so we want to take a picture with you. All right, so, yeah. Sorry, he doesn't. He likes to be behind the camera, not in front of the camera.
Kirk, you want to make sure they look good?
When did you open this up? Was it like 6:46?
Thank you, Dr. Engel. We'll move to our next agenda item, which is our district update.
Okay, thank you, President Sanchez. I would like to thank the community for their understanding with this weather closure that we had last week. District operations on Tuesday and Wednesday of the 21st and 22nd were suspended due to freezing rain and snow. Our maintenance team did a phenomenal job prepping our systems and following up to assess any damage. We don't make these decisions lightly, but rather collaboration with the National Weather Service, Region 4 Service Center, and area superintendents. Now, I don't think any of the kids or adults minded the snow day, as our photos on social media show. Powdery snow in Houston is rare, and our children and families made the most of this historic weather event. Our FFA show and auction, our staff, students, and parents worked tirelessly to truncate our annual FFA show from over 2 nights, originally scheduled for Tuesday and Wednesday, to Monday, all before 5 p.m., working together to conclude and to get ahead of that weather day. We will be honoring the student winners at our February board meeting. And the board, congratulations to our CCISD Board of Trustees. This team is among the top governing boards in Texas. Clear Creek ISD has been named one of the 5 finalists for the HEB Excellence in Education Award for Texas School Boards. A team of judges will be here on February 13th to talk with trustees, parents, students, and community members. And as we celebrate Board Appreciation Month, I can speak for our leadership team, our staff, our students, and families in expressing our gratitude for your selfless service. You serve with wisdom, expertise, and a heart for students. And I was thinking about it, everyone here has either had their children that have gone through Clear Creek ISD or they themselves have gone through Clear Creek ISD. And you treat every decision and every opportunity to elevate this district and to focus on our children like they're your own. We cannot thank you enough for your dedication and your heart for students. It's like this is your family. You have 40,000 children almost, and you treat them like that, and we are so grateful. It's obvious why you're being recognized for the HEB award here amongst all of the districts across Texas. So we are so grateful, and from everybody, our team here and our team all across the district, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Engel, and thank you to Cabinet and to the community members and to 5,000 teachers and staff across the district, including our students and our staff. It really is what makes it the best district to be part of and to serve on a board. So thank you. Thank you all. So we will move to our next agenda item, which is our community input. And the purpose of community input is for the entire board to receive feedback from citizens. The board will hear the public comments but will not respond except as authorized by the Texas Open Meetings Act to respond to an inquiry by a member of the public or by a board member with a statement of specific factual information, recitation of existing policy, or to deliberate a proposal to place a subject on the agenda for a subsequent meeting. Matters brought forth that require response will be addressed by the superintendent as appropriate. All information received is subject to verification. Community input is scheduled for 30 minutes and has 2 forums. Those requesting to address the board regarding items on the agenda are granted up to 3 minutes to address their topics. Those who sign up to address items not on the board agenda are granted 1 minute. In a district our size, there will certainly be issues or topics which will generate considerable interest from the public. It is important that members of our community be able to address the school board respectfully, without disruption, and without fear of intimidation from other attendees. On behalf of the board, the superintendent, and CCISD staff, we welcome your input during CCISD board meetings. We request that everyone exhibit the respect and understanding each person deserves when addressing the school board during the public input portion of the meeting. And our first speaker is Caitlin Hackney.
Good evening to the school board. I'm Sarissa Abbott. Caitlin Hackney is our community engagement manager for Girl Scouts. On behalf of the Stargazers Girl Scout community, Clear Creek community, Region 12, and the Girl Scouts of San Jacinto Council, we'd like to thank y'all for your continued support for our mission, which is the same as the one of the school board and all the teachers here, that is getting our girls to lead with kindness, caring, wisdom, and knowledge. And we serve together over 1,000 girls in our area, and we love to grow that community as well. And we very much appreciate the time this evening. If you look in front of you, cookie season is starting soon, so you have a sneak preview.
All right.
Yes. And remember, there are plenty of young leaders of tomorrow who will be more than happy to help you get your fix for this.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next speaker is Angela Solis.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Angela Solis. I'm with Harris County Precinct 2. I'm the Bay Area Community Liaison for this area, and I'm here on behalf of Harris County Commissioner Adrian Garcia's office, and I presented certificates of appreciation, thanking you for your dedication to education and your timeless effort. And we appreciate everything you do for our youth and also for my grandchildren. They attend Armand Bayou Elementary, so this was a treat to see the students here tonight. And just know that you can count on Harris County Commissioner Garcia as your partner, your supporter. Please feel free to contact us and we can be of any assistance. Thank you and appreciate all your help.
Thank you. Next speaker is Dr. Glenn Friedman.
Hello, my name is Ann Hammond, and I bring you greetings from all who have served CCISD in the past years. I'm here to congratulate all of you and to read a resolution of appreciation from all who have served before. Whereas January is National School Board Recognition Month, time to celebrate the vital role that school board trustees play in every student's educational journey and every community's future. And whereas 2025 School Board Recognition Month's theme is Leadership for Tomorrow, Texas, and Texas school board members are elected to make critical decisions that affect students' educational experiences. Thus, collectively, You are guardians of Texas's future. And whereas Clear Creek Independent School District 7 individual trustees collaborate with the superintendent to form CCISD's team of 8 and are entrusted to preside over the district's learning environment and the district's operational integrity, thus ensuring student-teacher success, safe schools, and personal well-being. And whereas CCISD's trustees have demonstrated their commitment to public education by volunteering their time and talents to govern our district, by enhancing CCISD's educational excellence in preparing our children for college, careers, and productive adult lives, by highlighting the many achievements of our students and staff, and by leading by example and demonstrating courtesy, support, and compassion to students and staff. And whereas CCISD's board has been recognized as a 2025 finalist for the prestigious HEB Excellence in Education Award, it's important to acknowledge publicly our appreciation to all of you for the contributions of our school board members. Therefore, be it resolved that the Association of Former Board Trustees thanks our trustees for their service to our students and staff, congratulates them for bringing honor to our district as we celebrate National School Board Recognition Month. Thank all of you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Tom Davis.
In honor of our multilingual district, its parents, its teachers, and its taxpayers, representatives, let us thank our Creator in English and Spanish. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. Padre nuestro que estás en el cielo, santificado sea tu nombre. Venga a nosotros tu reino, hágase tu voluntad en la tierra como en el cielo. Danos hoy nuestro pan de cada día, perdona nuestras ofensas como también nosotros perdonamos a los que nos ofenden. No nos dejes caer en tentación, líbranos del mal. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Mireya Zanil. Mireya Zanil. Stephanie May. Stephanie May. Okay. That concludes our public input. We'll move to the next agenda item, consent agenda. Would anyone like to pull any items?
Mr. President, I'd like to pull item 11.
Item 11. Thank you, Mr. Cunningham.
Mr. President, I'd like to pull item 21.
21. Thank you, Mr. Bone. Any other items to be pulled? I'll entertain a motion for those items, minus the two that have been pulled.
Mr. President,
Mr. Cottrell?
I move that we approve the consent agenda with the exception of items 11 and 21 as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Cottrell. Any other comments or questions from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor, if you raise your right hand. Passes. I'm sorry?
Oh, we missed
We can
closed
come back
session,
to
but
it.
we
Okay.
can come back to it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. And so that passed unanimously. And then Mr. Cunningham will go to the item that you pulled, item 11.
Yes, just wanted to speak on item 11, which is the naming of our Creekside Intermediate Gym. I see a couple people that were instrumental in making that possible. Barbara, if you could please stand. And is Debbie here, Butler? If you could stand as well. These individuals were instrumental in getting the gym, renamed and recognizing Coach Blanca, who had a 30-year career, if I remember correctly. So thank you, ladies, for getting that done. Also wanted to thank Principal Aaron Schmidt for making that possible as well, but I wanted to at least acknowledge you guys for getting that done. And that's the only comment I meant.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham.
And I will make a motion to approve the Creekside Intermediate Gym naming.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. Any other questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. And that passes unanimous. Thank you. Mr. Bowen, item 21.
Yes, and let me scroll to it real fast. I was getting ready for the other motion. So first of all, just based on my understanding here, we assigned funding in a separate fund for the scoreboard project at a previous meeting out of capital and contingency. And so now we're looking at the contract for the actual construction of the board, and based on what I'm seeing, we're about $420,000 under budget, which is awesome.
Correct.
So I'm extremely happy about the work it took to do that. What I was wondering though is in the amended project financial statement, it shows that money being assigned to soft costs and technology. So I guess where do those savings go? Are those are we going to essentially, after we get to the end of this project, return those savings to the capital and contingency fund?
Yes, sir. So the $490,105 for the soft costs, some of that will be used to pay for the electrical work because the contract with NEVCO does not involve the new electrical connection that has to be made.
Right.
The rest of it will stay in soft costs until the project is completed. The $150 for the technology, we're going to hold it there so that we can possibly go into the control room and help her replace some of the equipment that needs to be replaced. So once the project is complete, the savings will either be brought back into capital contingency or 2013, depending on what we use, because we talked about possibly using 2013 savings from the land sale to offset these costs. So we haven't quite decided where we're going to pay this from.
Okay, so it's a little bit of a split then. Some of that will go into electrical work and control system upgrades that weren't originally part of the project, and then the rest of that will go back into savings.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, just wanted to clarify that.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bowen. If you'd like to make the motion.
Sure. Scroll back up to it. I move that we accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve construction contract 2025-411 to Nevco Sports LLC in the amount of $528,203 for the Challenger Columbia Stadium video board replacement project.
Thank you, Mr. Bowen. Any other comments or questions from the board?
I did want to make one last comment. Just being consistent with the original intent of the video board when it was constructed in the 2013 bond was that it would pay for itself. I know there are a lot of things that we do in school districts that are must-haves, and then there are things that are nice-to-haves. And a scoreboard is definitely in the nice-to-have category. But as was made clear in a previous meeting, the scoreboard did in fact pay for itself through advertising over the life of, basically over the 10-year life of the equipment. And so that is really good news. It's a testament to good management, not just on the financial and maintenance side, but also on the communications side to bring in advertisers, bring in people from our community who can contribute to that without having to have our taxpayers pay for it. And so my hope is that that will continue, and now that our costs are a lot lower for this go round, I expect that it will. So that's all I have on that.
Thank you, Mr. Bowen.
And
Mr. Cunningham?
I just want to say it is a nice to have, but also looking at our C3 studios and looking at the experience and knowing that the students and former students that are involved in that program are getting real world experience. They're moving on to work for ESPN, local networks, local media, 12th band, I believe, at A&M, etc. So that's providing them with real world experience because they're using real world equipment. And it just, helps those visual and performing arts students just get a leg up. So,
absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. Any other comments, questions from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. And that passes unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I will pop back up to action on closed session items. I apologize for passing that earlier. I'll entertain a motion for item A.
Mr. President.
Mr. Bowen?
I move that we accept the recommendation of the superintendent that the board approve the contingent fee legal services agreement with Thompson Horton LLP, Island and Bodden PC, and O'Hanlon, Demerith, and Castillo PC.
Thank you, Mr. Bowen. Any comments or questions from the board? Mr. Larson?
Yeah, just briefly, you know, some people might be looking at this and wondering what's going on, and it's really fairly simple. We can establish that we have had damages as a school district due to social media, and these range from everything from the additional mental health support that we've really had to provide for our students, all the way down to technology improvements to filter out social media sites that are not part of the school curriculum from you know, our personal devices. So this is something we're considering joining as most people are familiar with class action lawsuits where a large number of people all have a claim against some entity, and all those cases are consolidated. We anticipate that a number of school districts will probably have some kind of similar claim based on some of the internal practices of various social media companies and the way they present their product to the public, and the ways that they're doing things that are causing harm to the school district. And for that reason, I want to mention that I'm in support of following through with this. And we believe that if this litigation proceeds, then we'll get all the information we need out in the public to see exactly what those damages were and to be fairly compensated for them.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. Any other comments, Mr. Bowen?
Yeah, I'll make a quick comment just to kind of reflect on a lot of the discussion around this issue. The lawsuit and the damages suffered by the district, that is part of the conversation for sure. And that's the motivation here is to recoup some of that. But I believe there's a much larger conversation that's kind of only starting just within our district and among board members and really even with parents in the community about how to protect children from social media. Because it's become clear over the past several years that social media have damaging impacts on children and adolescents, and we have a role to play as a school district in making sure that those harms don't make it all the way into schools and the classrooms. And so I think this is something that kind of as we head into the rest of this year and the summer and next year, there will probably be a lot of focus on updating our policies and really making sure that our policies and our practices reflect everything that we have learned over the past several years about just how damaging some of this stuff can be. So this won't be the last that you hear from the district on this subject for sure.
Thank you, Mr. Bowen. Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor, if you raise your right hand, and that passes unanimous. Thank you. And I'll entertain a motion for item B.
Mr. President, I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation to consider adoption of the resolution approving contingent fee legal services contract, including findings needed for submission of contingent fee legal services agreement and request for expedited review by the Texas Attorney General.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. Any other comments, questions from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor, if you raise your right hand. That passes unanimous as well. Thank you. And we will move to item B, consider approval of fiscal year 2023-2024 annual financial report.
Okay, and Ms. Benzai will join Greg Peterson, a partner with Weaver, who conducted our annual comprehensive financial audit. Welcome.
Good evening. Mr. Peterson is here tonight with Weaver, and this is the end of the
the closeout. This is the closeout for our 23-24 financials. And so the report tonight is our annual financial report from year-end August 31, 2024. So I will turn it over to.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We met last week with the Finance Committee to go over some of these results. So tonight I've just put together a small presentation to take this larger report and put it into some condensed slides here. So if you don't mind, oh, didn't realize it's sitting right there. We'll jump right into some of these results. So the whole purpose of an audit is for the auditor to come in and render an opinion on the financial statements, to give validity to the information that's presented in this report. So the opinion that we are going to render is an unmodified opinion. So that's the highest level of assurance that you can receive in an audit. So what we're saying is, to the best of our knowledge, there are no material misstatements within this information. But our audit does extend beyond just looking at the numbers of the district. We also evaluate internal controls. As part of that process, we did not identify any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in internal controls. We also did not identify any non-compliance with any laws or regulations. In the broader scope of what it is we perform for the district, we're also required to perform a federal single audit. As you're aware, the district does expend federal dollars. So as part of that, we perform a single audit. The program that we tested this year was the Child Nutrition Program. That program accounted for approximately 23% of your total federal expenditures. Again, part of this process is us rendering an opinion on that audit. We are rendering an unmodified opinion, again, the highest level of assurance that you can receive. Similar to the financial statement audit, we also evaluate internal controls over your federal processes, in particular to this grant. We did not identify any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in internal controls, nor did we identify any non-compliance with the federal requirements. The district is also considered a low-risk auditee when we evaluate your federal expenditures. Essentially, you receive that designation because you don't have any material weaknesses in your internal controls and you continue to receive unmodified opinions. I do want to point out that the ESSER funding will be going away. As you're aware, that does then put more burden back on the general fund to cover some of those expenditures that have been supplemented with ESSER funding. As part of our auditing standards is we have to make certain communications to those charged with governance. So I wanted to point out a few communications that we have. So there were no material errors or irregularities or illegal acts that we identified as part of our audit. There were no transactions that the district entered into for which there wasn't any authoritative guidance. There were no difficulties or disagreements that arose as part of our audit. As your auditor, we remained independent from the district throughout our audit process, and the district did not seek consultation with outside CPA firms for any conclusions that were reached as part of our audit. Next, we'll just quickly go over some of the financial highlights. So first, we'll talk about your general fund. So that's the primary operating fund of the district. And the information that I'm talking about is on page 20 through 25 of your reports in front of you. So when we look at your general fund, we'd like to talk about some key indicators, one of those being your fund balance and looking at your unassigned fund balance. We'd like to evaluate that based on the days of operations that you have in your unassigned fund balance within the general fund. So the district ended with 92 days of operating expenses within the general fund. That's an improvement over prior year that ended with 75 days of operating expenses. TA likes to see somewhere between around 60 days. So the district continues to exceed that TA minimum requirement. As of year end, the general fund also had about $114.8 million in cash and investments, which was sufficient to cover your current liabilities of $41.5 million. So your general fund is very liquid. General fund revenues increased over prior year by about $42.7 million or 12%. when we look at that mix of your revenues in the current period, your state funding increased as a result of your local revenues decreasing due to tax compression in your property tax rate. Looking at your general fund expenditures, it increased by 20.5 million over last year. That's about a 6% increase. However, that did outperform your budget. So the general fund was budgeted to increase by 30.8 million. It actually only realized 20.5 of that, so it's a $10 million positive variance against your budget. Instruction and related services continue to be the district's largest functional expenses of about 67% of your total expenditures. One thing that TA does like to review when it evaluates your general fund and your expenditures, it likes to compare your budget to actual, because it wants to see if you have any negative variances at the functional level within the general fund. I'm happy to report that there were no negative variances when comparing budget to actual. What this really shows is that the district's being fiscally responsible. It's operating within the budget that's adopted by the board. Next, we'll take a quick glance at a pie graph that just shows the general fund revenues. And you can see what I was talking about. There's a shift in the percentage of funding that came from the state. It increased from 44% in FY24, from 24% in the prior year. Again, state funding and local funding share an inverse relationship. When one goes down, the other goes up. So we saw the local revenues go down, and that shortfall, essentially, or difference, was made up by state funding. And again, the shift was really due to your property tax compression. Next, we have a bar chart representing your general fund expenditures. You can see very comparable year over year, obviously with the largest portion of that being instruction and related services. As a board, I'd be very concerned if that wasn't your largest expenditure and if there was a significant variance year over year within that category. But again, through our audit procedures, we did not identify any unusual swings. And again, when we compare your actual to budget, you operated within the budget that was adopted. Next, I just want to take a quick moment to point out your total bonded debt. So there was an increase over the prior year by about $70 million. That's largely related to the 2024 series that was issued in July. So that's what makes up that difference over the prior year. Next, we'll talk about some of the other major funds within this financial report. The first being your debt service fund. So the debt service fund is used to accumulate resources for debt service to pay off those bonds that we were just looking at. So the debt service fund ended the year with $41.5 million in fund balance, all of which is restricted for debt service payments. The debt service fund also adopts an annual budget, and there were no negative variances when comparing budget to actual for your debt service fund. Next is a capital project fund, and it ended the year with $178.9 million in fund balance, all of which is restricted or committed for construction of capital acquisition. And this fund is used to accumulate the resources for capital improvement bonds. So when we see there's $178 million in fund balance, a large portion of that is unspent bond proceeds, primarily related to that 2024 issuance that was issued in July. And then the final fund I want to talk about is the National School Lunch and Breakfast Fund. So this is the Child Nutrition Fund. It ended the year with $13.2 million in net position, which is a $1.7 million increase over the prior year. This fund is heavily subsidized with federal and state funding, which approximated about $8.3 million. So this is the same $8.3 million that we tested as part of your single audit. So in addition to being subsidized with federal and state money, you also had $11.2 million in meal charges, $755,000 in interest earnings, and that fund incurred about $18.7 million in operating expenses. Again, when we accumulate your revenues less your expenses, it did net to a $1.7 million increase. Then the final point I want to talk about is the deficit and net position. So when we report governmental reporting in general requires all the fund level financial statements to then be aggregated and converted from modified accrual to full accrual. And what we're talking about here is a full accrual financial information. So your governmental activities, you do report a deficit net position, which is essentially a negative equity position. So we just talked about all these increases in your fund level financial statements. Well, when we aggregate it and we turn it from modified to full accrual, it turns it negative. But it's negative for a very specific reason that I want to point out. So it's a negative because of the requirement to adopt GASB 68 and 75, which this was done about 10 years ago, but it continues to show up in basically everyone's financial reports across the country. So when you were required to record the long-term liability for your pension plan and for your employer healthcare plan, it made equity go negative. Well, we as your auditors, TEA, your bond rating agencies, everyone's aware of this accounting requirement. We all know to back that out, back those numbers out to really evaluate the district. So when we back out your pension and your OPEB number, it actually turns that negative 141 million into a positive 101 million. So there's a very large swing associated with basically what I consider a pencil adjustment for adopting these two standards. So again, want to point out that it's not from an operating issue that's causing this negative variance. It is adoption of a new standard. And again, you can see even with your latest bond issuance, your 2024 issuance, you received AAA rating from both Moody's and Fitch. So again, the people evaluating the district's financials know to back those negative numbers out. So that really concludes my presentation of some of the key components to your financial statement, as well as our audit, and happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Any questions, comments from the board? Mr. Baum?
I know it's early, but and we'll get more information kind of as the fiscal year closes out, but what would you say so far is the reason for the difference between the expense increases that we were thinking we would have and what we've actually seen so far, the $10 million?
So when we looked at that, it's really, if you look at our overall budget for expenditures for 23-24, we had a budget to actual savings of about 2.5%, and that's not uncommon, but the bulk of that is in payroll. So it's just, you do the best to estimate it to be exactly where it's, what you budget for, but in payroll, with 5,000 plus positions, you have vacancies. So that's really where the bulk of that was. The other amount that was led to the adding to fund balance this past year was on the revenue side. The state aid generated was really, we had some special ed allotments and CTE allotments with larger populations than we had budgeted or anticipated, and larger from the prior year, so that drove more state funding. We also saw a bump from the state for some hold harmless from the having to recalculate our taxes due to the freeze and the compression. So the large revenue jump was really that, also the golden pennies and the extra yield that we generated from those, which was probably $18 to $20 million increase in revenue on that side as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Benza. Any other comments or questions from the board? Okay. I would like to say thank you. Thank you for spending time with our finance folks, and thank you for talking to cabinet and other members across the district, as well as receiving information from trustees. We know that this is a significant foundation that enables us to make decisions that are in line with what our citizens feel strongly about is important, and making sure that we stay within a budget and that we're being fiscally responsible. And so to have this always looked at by Ms. Benzai and her team, but then also to have an audit provides that additional assurance to the community that when we are making decisions and when we talk about having the space to do that or not, and when we have to talk about the need for budgets and additional assistance, this is really critical. So thank you to you and your team that conducted the audit. We definitely appreciate that.
Thank you. Our pleasure.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President,
Ms. Cheka?
I move to approve the recommendation of superintendent to accept the annual financial report.
Thank you, Ms. Cheka. Any other comments or questions from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor, if you raise your right hand. And that passes unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will move to our last agenda item, which is consider approval of an order and resolution calling a school board trustee election. Ms. Benzai?
Yes, so tonight is an action item. We have the order and resolution calling for the school board election for the May election by plurality vote. This is for single-member District 1 and at-large position B. I wanted to mention tonight on the consent agenda, you did approve a contract with Galveston County to provide the election administration for Galveston County. We are working with Harris County who has signified that they mentioned that they are willing to run entity elections for this coming May. So we don't have the contract from them yet, but that will be coming hopefully next at the next board meeting. So we are recommending approval of this order calling the school board election, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Benzai. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President,
Mr. Cottrell?
I move that we approve the recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Trustees approve the order calling school board election as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Cottrell. Any other comments or questions from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor, if you raise your right hand. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Passes unanimous and one abstention.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Benzai. And with no further business before the board, I will adjourn us at 7:45.